The day started like any other in New Alexandria. Sun shone, birds tweeted. Citizens sipped their overly sweetened energy. Drinks, and everyone pretended that the giant sentient shadow in the sky was on an ever-present threat of total annihilation. From his high-tech apartment on the 64th floor, VoltShade watched the citizens scurry about like ants. Their tiny squabbles seemed so trivial from up here. But then he focused on the gigantic shadow. And even from this height, it was hard to see the details. All he could make out was that it was definitely taking shape, coalescing into something solid. It had been a while since he'd seen it like this, so close. He could feel its hunger, the dark energy churning within it like a maelstrom. He sighed. Today was supposed to be a day off. He had plans to meet up with some friends, maybe go to a holosuite, and immerse themselves in a fantasy world for a few hours. But duty called. He put on his black leather jacket, adjusted his shades, and stepped onto the balcony. With a deep breath, he reached out and touched the railing. Electricity surged through him, gathering around his hand like a living thing. He willed it to form into a whip, long and sinuous. He cracked it once, twice, 3 times. Each crack echoed in the vast space between him and the earth. On the last one, he let it all out, sending a bolt of lightning arcing down to the street below. He stood there watching as the bolt struck the side of a building, showering sparks and sending up a plume of smoke. One less building for the Shadow Eater to consume. As he watched, a figure emerged from the stairwell, a young woman with flowing red hair and skin like polished copper. She raised her hands and summoned a shield of her own, deflecting the tendrils of darkness that lashed out at her. She fought with the grace of a dancer, but VoltShade knew she couldn't hold out for long. Soon, tendrils wrapped around her, pulling her closer to the gaping maw of the creature. He didn't hesitate. He was already moving before he finished forming the image in his mind. Another bolt of lightning shot down from his fingertips, striking the ground beside the creature. The explosion sent dirt and debris flying, giving the young woman a chance to scramble out of the way. From there, he kept up a constant barrage, forcing the creature to lash out at him instead. VoltShade danced just out of its reach, his whip cracking, sending the creature reeling. It hissed, a sound like grinding gears, and beat against the concrete, sending another shower of sparks flying. He knew he couldn't defeat it. Not here, not without backup. He had to buy time for the others to get there, so he kept up his assault, forcing the creature back inch by agonizing inch. Finally, with a last desperate surge of power, he drove it back into the swirling mass in the sky. Then he collapsed, slumping against the railing, the fight draining the color from his face. His eyes burned, muscles ached, and every strike reverberated through his bones. But then he heard the sound he'd been waiting for, the whine of repulsor engines, the rumble of cannons being primed. Relief washed over him, and he straightened, summoning the last of his strength to push himself away from the railing. When he turned, he saw the others, 3 figures silhouetted against the dying light of the setting sun. There were 2 men and a woman, each clad in uniforms of polished metal, each bearing weapons that spat lightning and thunder. "Took you long enough," he said, though his voice was hoarse. One of the men grinned, a flash of white teeth in the gloom. "We had to stop the transmission. Those things amplify his powers. No way we could get close otherwise." "Then let's finish this," VoltShade said, straightening his jacket and adjusting his shades. Together, they fought, pushing the creature back, blasting it with everything they had. For a moment, VoltShade thought they might actually win. They had it on the run, forcing it back towards the swirling vortex that had birthed it. But then the creature lunged, and VoltShade felt a searing pain in his chest as tendrils wrapped around him, pulling him closer to that hungry darkness. In the end, it didn't matter that he'd been pulled into the darkness. He was still Volted, the hero of light and darkness, and the battle wasn't over yet, not by a long shot.